to the Dickinson County Museum for the first History Lives presentation of this year. We appreciate your support so much for these programs. Tonight, we are welcoming Steve Dyson and Sandy Dyson and Paulette Dyson. Where's Paulette?
Ran away.
She ran away? Okay. She didn't want to get to be introduced. That is not Paulette Dyson back there. We're so lucky to have them here. And the reason they're here is to talk about the depot, living in the depot, and also about the railroads of Dickinson County. Steve's grandfather, H.B. Dyson, was the last depot agent to live and work at this depot. And between the three of them, they have just a fount of knowledge about this place. So, without further ado, excuse me. And if you have questions, please just ask them. This is super informal.
Anyone else?
Okay, come on in.
It's the Army. Come on, there we go. It's all arms.
Okay. All right, Steve.
Oh, what a rally start. Whoops, excuse me.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Steve Dyson. As she said, I'm the grandson of Brian Dyson. He always went by Brian. And he's the last depot agent to live here. And with me today, my support group is gone. She's wearing a shirt like this. So if you see somebody wandering around, that's her. But this is my sister, and she is doing the audio visual over here. Plus, she's got a piece that she's going to contribute also. So, it's hard to believe that it was about a year ago that. Am I in the way?
No, you're good.
No. It was about a year ago that Paulette and I, we like, now that we're retired, like to do a lot of day trips. And we came by here, and lo and behold, there was a car parked out there. And we said, well, it's open, let's go take a look. That's when we met Mary. Oh, I'm sorry.
Could you move up closer, please, because it's hard to hear you.
You can,
You.
no, I'm not.
Yeah, I'll
Is
fix
that
it.
okay? Okay. Can you hear now? Are you sure?
This is mic working?
Oh, I don't know. Is my mic?
Yeah.
Mic only goes to a camera.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Speak up, Steve.
Okay. Okay, so we came up here and we established a friendship. I value the time and conversations we've had with her. And she forwarded the idea of having a presentation about this. And I said, well, okay, I can do that, but remember, I'm looking at this through the eyes of a 5 to 12-year-old. But she took me upstairs, and it's the first time in 60 years I've been up there. Of course, the last time I was up there, there was furniture and all that type of things. But anyway, I'm happy to be here and share any kind of knowledge I have, answer any questions. If not, I'll lie it. But so anyways, I'd like to start here, and the presentation is Depot Daze. Okay, I'd like to start with the Transcontinental Railroad because the first part here, I'm going to deal with the railroad because without the railroad, the depot is kind of useless. So, in the Transcontinental Railroad, Iowa had a big part in this. Here you see Abraham Lincoln came to Council Bluffs in 1860, and that's Grenville Dodge, he's Council Bluffs, and he proclaimed at that time that Council Bluffs would be the eastern terminus of the Transcontinental Railroad that was under, but lo and behold, there's General Dodge. But about that time, the Civil War started, so that put a clamp on a lot of that. And in fact, General Dodge was assigned to General Grant for railroad. And so usually this is what it looked like after a battle. The losers kind of tore it all up. So the victors had to go back and rebuild it. And that's what Grenville Dodge was doing during the 4 years of the Civil War. And that's And basically, what they had to do is go back and get new rail and stuff, because the picture prior, it's all twisted like a
Necktie.
necktie. Yeah, they call them neckties.
Sure,
Yeah.
it's necktie.
So that's him in the Civil War. Again, for those who
This is-
missed it the first time,
Transcontinental.
and this is the Transcontinental, yeah. Okay, so now the Iowa portion that was completed in 1867, going from Davenport to Council Bluffs, and that's basically the northwestern. Just before the Civil War started in 1861, there was only 2 bridges over the Mississippi River. The one in Clinton, which was northwestern, and the other one was the Rock Island in Davenport. And the Rock Island in Davenport, General Dodge helped build that too. So he was a railroad guru. And here we can see the path of the Transcontinental Railroad. Now, a lot of people say, why do we need a transcontinental railroad? Well, if you bought a ticket up in New York, wanting to go to San Francisco before the railroad was there, you'd have to go all the way around South America, come up, and go to San Francisco. So you'd spend 4 months on a ship getting there. So your licorice that you ordered would be there too. I mean, so but the Transcontinental cut the transit time from 4.5 months to 3.5 days. So that was a quite savings for industry, and probably a lot more comfort for the travelers too. And here, if I can get up here,
Where's your point?
here's the Transcontinental Railroad when they met. And over here, if you can, I think I got my ribbon. Anyway, you see the 2 guys in the foreground shaking hands. The guy on the right is General Dodge, and he's Iowan through and through. So that's what was going on at that time. So railroading was catching steam, ha ha ha. Now Iowa was an important transportation hub. Like you say, if you look at that map that we had before, any way getting from New York to San Francisco by rail, straight line through Iowa. So, and a lot of good looking Iowans there too. And that's going around again.
Here.
Okay, and
There's
that's the
that.
Iowa part right there.
And here's. You have a pointer?
No, here, this, right here is where
That's the Iowa part.
Iowa's part of it, right through here. Wait a minute, we may be, yeah, there we go. Modern technology.
There you go. Yay!
Hey! There is light at the end of this tunnel. Okay, we're done with that one, we're tired with it, let's go. Okay, now I want to get it and say, okay, we know that part of it. What's this got to do with Spirit Lake? And in 1872, Mr. Hubble and Mr. Polk, both big entrepreneurs in Des Moines, wanted to build a line to the lakes. So again, why do we need a railroad? Well, I don't know about you, but when I think of stagecoaches, I think of John Wayne on top of a stagecoach, shooting Indians and bad guys and all that type of thing, racing 100 miles an hour, like that. Just so happened to happen.
This is Iowa.
Yeah, yeah, with the mountains there.
Those are the bluffs.
Okay, so here, these were the only routes through Iowa for the stagecoaches. So like if you're going to go from Des Moines up to the northwest, you have to take that up to Fort Dodge, you go up and angle over. Well, it was kind of a lengthy process because every 8 miles you had to change horses. So you had to do that, get back in, going get going again. And you could only make about 50 miles a day. So you'd have to, they had inns in here. And this is one of them that's been preserved down in Ida Grove. But you know, they come in here. This would be the check-in. Down here would be the community room, and the bedrooms would be up here. But you would have to do this, spend 2 nights in one of those just to go from Des Moines to Spirit Lake, because you can only get about 50 to 60 hours or miles a day. So, again, going back to Mr. Hubble and Mr. Pope, they said there's got to be a better way. So what they wanted to do is build a route that was driven before, and so they started raising money. And
They raised money because the lights went out on the presentation.
Yeah.
Anyway, notice the date here, 1872. And so what they were doing was they would collect money, build as far as they could, and start all over again, build some more money, build as they can. So, you know, 1872 is when they started. Well, they hit Spencer in 1881. What they were running into through this stretch, 80% of those towns were 500 people or less. So there wasn't a whole lot of local support going through. So they had to go back, get some bankers maybe in Des Moines or whatever. Anyway, so they worked their way up, and they got to Spencer in 1881. Yay, you know, champagne and all that, except they didn't make it to Spirit Lake. So the resorts and business people in Spirit Lake said, come on, you built this thing 170 miles, how about another 20 to get up to here? So they did, and finally got to 1883, and there's a plaque out there to prove it, that because the depot was built after the railroad arrived up here in the same year, obviously. So that's what happened there. So anyway, the advantage of that too was, you know, okay, can you imagine putting 10 people in a smelly place like that and spending there for 2.5 hours? Whereas the railroad, you could get from Des Moines to Spirit Lake in 8 hours. Plus, you'd be in a coach, you get up, stretch your legs, whatever you want to do. And so that's why the railroads really started to take off. Okay, now here, this is for you. Because she says, hey, a lot of people say, there's no tracks out there. Where were they? Okay, here it is. This is official because I got this from the Milwaukee Road. Okay, right here, this is going north. So here's the main line. And you go straight, it ends right up in here. Well, there's another, can everybody see? Am I sending it away? Okay. And then there was a siding over here, right here. And then here they had little storage areas where people would get things off a boxcar, store it in like a, who had, like they have now, the storage places where you rent and all that. And then right here is not the scale, but that's the depot. And over here, they were unloaded liquids. So, and that came back to the main line and up this way. Now here is a side track. When the train would come in, the passenger train would come in, they'd stop there, let off all of the passengers, unhook the engine from the consist, take it up. Right here is the round, well, it's an engine house and the turntable. He turned the engine this way, come back here around his train that he just dropped off, hooked onto it, and now he's headed in the right direction. So that's how things would happen up here. Okay. Now here is the typical steam engine that would come up to Spirit Lake. And in fact, it's train number 25. That was one of my dad's favorites. He we'll get to him later, but he worked on these things. And it's heavy duty, so they would put one of these in the train to carry a passenger train. If they had, like through the summer, holidays, all that, they'd have to put an extra car on or something like that, because the diesel electric train will shield. So I think this is the next. That's yeah, there it is. Anyway, this is diesel electric. It's all. This is the engine. There's the engineer. Now, first door is for them to get in and out. And there's the mail. They sort the mail and drop it off there. And back here was the express in case you send a storage unit or something like that to somebody else or whatever. My grandfather actually sent me a sled by rail, but that was after this was gone. But that's what that looks like.
Were there trains like this here, Steve?
Yeah, this is one headed for Spirit Lake right here, and this one over here